You look wise. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do men ever change? I'm not kidding.
No, they don't.
They don't? Do men, like, ever change?
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
You haven't seen it? Not once? No.
It's still the same.
Okay, thank you.
Self-centered, egotistical.
Do men ever change?
No.
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 You've never
They
seen it?
get worse.
Worse? That's the change?
Yeah, they get worse.
Do men ever change? No? Never?
Ever.
They don't grow like they say they will?
They never do what they say they want to do.
Thank you for
Can't trust
clarifying.
them. Can't trust them.
Okay, I won't. Thank you.
In this study, they tracked changes in the Big Five personality traits across young men and women. You can see the results here. And as you can tell, males are consistently growing and changing. In some areas, they are keeping pace with young women, and in others, they are outperforming them. Men continue to grow while women plateau or regress. Taken together, these results suggest that adolescent males are more prone than females to normative change, namely the tendency for a group of people to change in the same way during a specific age period. As men get older, the change does not stop. The research has been replicated multiple times, and it has been consistent, showing that fatherhood brings considerable change to men, both in their hormones and in their neurology. If you are an expectant father, the grey matter in your brain will adjust. That is so you can better read your baby's cues and manage your own emotional responses. It is a powerful change, and it is also accompanied by an increase in oxytocin, which makes you more emotionally available and patient. Many people go to therapy specifically to change, and when they have done research on therapy outcomes to see whether men and women are capable of growing out of old unhelpful patterns, a meta-analysis revealed that 96% of studies said that there was no difference between the genders, that both men and women were equally capable of change. I'm afraid it is not true. Women are not superior. They are not these incredible, ever-changing and evolving beings when compared to men. The data does not support that. So why is she doing this? Well, it's obvious that she's in pain. I'm guessing that she's been hurt by a man, maybe she was cheated on, and she's decided to approach these older women with this loaded question, pretending that she's actually looking for information. Of course, she could just look at the comprehensive research that proves that the likelihood of repeated cheating cannot be predicted by gender. Women who cheated once are just as likely to cheat again as men. But of course, why look at the research when you can go out onto the street and stir up some hate, appealing to sexist stereotypes that demonize men, creating the impression that men do not change? Sadly, these videos are extremely popular. Let me explain why. At an individual level, many women do not have a concrete sense of identity. There are emotions and impulses, opinions and desires, but at a core level, they do not know who they are, and that scares them. Now, the truth is that identity is a privilege for those who have the courage to create it. You discover who you are by taking action, taking responsibility. Lots of men know this, but there are many women who are lazy. They want a shortcut. So instead of looking inwards, they look outwards. They define themselves by what they are not. Men are terrible. Men can't change. I'm a woman. I don't know who I am, but I'm not them. When women watch content like this, it gives them an emotional release, a sense of identity. They gain their sense of identity by hating on men. It doesn't matter if we lie about men. In fact, it's important that we pretend that they are worse than they actually are, because the more awful we pretend that men are, the better we look by contrast. And this in turn facilitates bonding between women. Let us share in our toxic hatred together. The more I hate men, the closer I am with my sisters. This whole concept that men never change. I have a lot to say about this. But first, let me tell you about something that truly does not ever change. And that's the number of scammers out there. When I tried to sell my old car on an online marketplace, I could not believe how many scammers jumped on me immediately. All I did was post the car and a few basic contact details. But that was enough, and within hours, I had multiple scammers contacting me pretending that they wanted to buy the car. They were sending really sophisticated fake messages, even trying to push me onto dodgy payment links. Just that tiny bit of information, my phone number, and the fact that I had something that I wanted to sell, that was enough to attract multiple scams. The sad truth is that your personal information is worth big money. And many scammers buy your information from data brokers. These brokers collect insane amounts of personal details, addresses, phone numbers, financial information, family history. They take all that information and they sell it to whoever is willing to buy. They don't care if it's a scammer or a stalker on the other end. That's where the sponsor of today's video, Aura, comes in. Aura protects your privacy by identifying which data brokers are trying to sell your information and then automatically getting it removed and keeping it off. You don't have to go through 100 different sites manually. Aura does the hard work for you. And Aura doesn't just stop at that. They pack in way more features than anyone else for the same price. This includes alerts if your personal details show up on the dark web, real-time fraud alerts for credit and banking, 24/7 monitoring to make sure your identity remains secure, plus built-in tools like a secure VPN, antivirus, and password manager. And if anything ever happens, Aura includes up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, with US-based fraud experts available around the clock to help. I do a lot of activities online, and for me, it's a relief to have something that actually gives me control over my personal details. I'm not leaving myself vulnerable, and you shouldn't either. You can try Aura for free for 14 days at aura.com/AlexanderGrace. In those 2 weeks, Aura will already start scrubbing your personal information off these data broker websites without you even lifting a finger. That's aura.com/AlexanderGrace.
Whenever a man talks, I immediately stop listening. That's why I cannot consume any kind of media or news coming from a man. I just don't understand them. Get a woman in there.
Do you think that these women have the self-awareness to realize how ironic it is that in trying to sell their independent woman persona, by spending all of their time hating on men, all they're doing is proving that men are still very much at the center of their personal universe? Their self-identity is completely reliant upon men.
Men are punching women in the face. Men are constantly assaulting people, and this world that we live in, an unsafe, uncivilized place because of them. And I don't care if people say it's controversial. Honestly, I think that we should restrict and monitor the movement of men. I feel like if you're a man and you want to leave your house, you should have to apply for a permit. You should have to state your business, where you're going, what time you're coming back, everything. Honestly, you can't exist in society. You guys just don't know how to. It's awful. It's awful for us to exist with you, just so you know.
Wow, I mean, it seems like she really wants men to just go away. But I can't help but wonder, what would these women do if men did just suddenly disappear? Or if they suddenly started being perfect and really well behaved? If everything that she claims that men do, if men just stopped that tomorrow, how would she respond? Because I think she'd have an existential crisis. She wouldn't know who she is, because this kind of flimsy identity, it needs an enemy. She needs to be in opposition to something because she wants to believe that she's someone who's fighting for good. But all of that over-the-top moral posturing, it's very transparent and it's sad. This is the laziest and most morally and intellectually dishonest way of creating an identity. It shows how unsure of yourself you are if you can only feel good about yourself by hating another. To any women like this, I would encourage you, if you want to live a successful life, go out and build that. Work for it. Put your virtues into action. You want to be a good person? You want to be a winner? Go on, go out there and win. That is a noble thing to do, but it does take work, and many women are tempted by the easier path.
If men didn't exist, there'd be no war, there'd be fewer crimes, there'd be less violence, there'd be fewer billionaires, there'd be less homelessness, there'd be equal pay, there'd be less oppression, there'd be less poverty, there'd be universal health care. All the money used to fund the military would instead contribute to free education, affordable housing, livable wages, and environmental efforts. Period products would be free, there'd be no need for birth control and all of its side effects, there'd be no need for women's rights or Me Too movements, there'd be no abortion debate, toilet seats would never be left up, there'd be more self-love, there'd be less body shame. The world in general would be safer, cleaner, and more comfortable. Land would be shared, not stolen, there'd be less hate, and there'd be less fear. Let me know if I missed anything, and try telling me that I'm wrong.
Sure. I can do that. You're wrong. And I get it. I understand why the victim narrative is so difficult for women to resist. It's so tempting. Because if your life is a failure, nobody wants you, you have no children, well, that's embarrassing. You feel ashamed. Like everybody can see that your life is not a success. And so, of course, the temptation is to reach out for a scapegoat. Oh, my life would be a utopia. Everything would be perfect if not for them. I mean, did you listen to all of the things that are exclusively a man's fault? Body shaming, land ownership. Like, if there are no men, the desire to own property will just vanish. Women won't compare their bodies. I mean, she even said that the basic emotions of fear and hate would be gone if we could get rid of men. If the world only had women, there would be peace. Well, let's dive a bit deeper into this female utopia, shall we? In all female prisons, the rate of inmate-on-inmate sexual victimization was 4.5 times higher than it is in all male prisons. The research has consistently shown over and over again that the rates of domestic violence are higher in lesbian relationships than in heterosexual relationships. And marriages between two women are twice as likely to end in divorce as marriages between two men. The female utopia is a myth. When it's just women with other women, it's a disaster. But sure, let's ignore the data and just pretend that men are the violent ones. That men are the ones with commitment issues. Understand, the purpose here in hating men is not to find the truth. The purpose isn't even to make men look bad. The women who push these awful sexist narratives against men, their deeper purpose is not hating men, it's actually to make themselves look better. They need the comparison, they need the contrast. That's what gives them their identity. And the more that they exaggerate how awful men are, the more they feel good about themselves in comparison.
The girlies are having problems. All the girlies. All. Like, look at one. She's probably having a problem.
Yeah, we all are.
We all are. You're right. And they're not making it any easier.
You know, I remember once getting pulled up by a feminist who was like policing my language because I had said the word girls. And she said, don't use that term, say women. Girls is infantilizing. And it's so interesting because now the popular term of empowerment for the female community seems to be the girlies. I mean, it's an interesting choice, but you can see the agenda in videos like this, like we're all having problems. Look at her, she's having a problem. They're trying to create this sense of community, this bond, this sisterhood. You've got this young woman asking these older women for advice, like, oh, man, you know, am I right? Like, we're all in this together. And women want to be accepted. They want to be a part of the group. But I don't think that many women have actually stopped to consider how toxic the foundational source of this bond is that's being created. So you've got this young girl in the crowd, impressionable. She wants to be part of the group. She's like, okay, so if I scream that I also hate men, I'm part of this, I'm accepted. I mean, this is not new. There's no mark for originality here. Humans have always bonded over shared threats. It's actually an important part of our psychology. It's how tribalism works. But gendered tribalism legitimately makes no sense. Now, you shouldn't be racist. You shouldn't hate people because they have different religious or political views. But if you do, at least there is some childlike logic to your hatred because you're like, okay, let's defeat and vanquish that group and then there'll be more room for us to thrive, you know, my tribe. It's not good, but it's understandable at some basic level. But with gender tribalism, what is the end goal? Because if you get rid of all of the men, what is your future going to look like? Men are half of the biological equation of life. So what's the plan? This bonding over a shared hatred of the other gender is unique to women, and it reflects very poorly on their maturity. How often have you ever spent time with your male friends, your buddies, you're just at the beach or the bar or whatever, and you're sitting there complaining about women? Yeah, man, that's what we do. We hang out, we get some beers, and then we just talk endless shit about women. We just hate on femininity. We just complain about our girlfriends and our wives and just women in general, and that's what we bond over. We feel really secure in our male friendships because we have the shared hatred of women. No man signs up for that because it sounds really fucking boring. When men hang out with each other, they want to drink some beers, they want to play some games, play some golf. They want to do something active and creative. Complaining is not a fun activity for men. We bond over shared activities and shared values. I know you've probably seen some guys in the comment section blowing off some steam, but fundamentally, people are here in spaces like this because they want to understand. The men's group program that I started, the Hero Circle, when we all get together, all us men, we are helping each other. We are striving to improve. We are supporting each other. In the hundreds of sessions that I have facilitated, there was not one that could be characterized by men just complaining about women. But you understand that difference is gendered, because that hatred, that complaining, that does not serve the purpose of bonding us to other men, but it does for women. Hating on things, complaining about things, that can be enjoyable to women because it can make them feel closer to their fellow women. It is an extremely troubling trait and instinct that exists inside femininity, and it's something that we should all be aware of and be very cautious of. But instead of trying to rein this instinct in and encourage self-awareness from women so that they don't engage in this kind of toxicity, instead our culture seems hell-bent on fanning the flames as strongly as possible, amping them up like, yeah, let's hate men, let's complain more, and let's bond and separate ourselves. Let's create our own little groupthink cult where we signal loyalty to each other by how much we hate men, and we shame any, traditional wives or any pick-me girls for not being part of our sisterhood. It is really, really dark. And it's incredibly uncomfortable for men to have to exist in the role of the prop, as being the straw man that they just make up all of this awful shit and they project it onto men so that they can have this shared experience of pointing at us and being like, hey, let's both agree that that thing over there, that's awful. It's dishonest and it's dehumanizing, and no one's pulling women up for it. There's no accountability for this terrible, terrible behavior. But let me say this directly to women, because if empowerment to you means hating men, you're not very powerful. And if you are reliant upon hating men in order to have a sense of identity, then the awful things that you say and believe about men, they don't really reflect anything about the male gender. It just reveals things about yourself, about how unsure you are of yourself and how little substance there actually is going on. Now, for the rest of the video, I want to turn the mirror back on men and talk about the so-called anger phase that people go through, where they learn some new truths, some new understandings about how our culture works, how female psychology operates. It recontextualizes, their toxic relationships in the past. And they're pissed off because they're really angry, but they don't want to be a hateful person. They don't want to complain. And maybe listening to this video, they might have found it a bit confronting of like, oh shit, am I here to inform myself, or am I here and I'm just complaining about women? That's what I'm going to talk about in the rest of this video. So if that's something that concerns you, you might want to come and check it out. I think self-awareness is so important for men, that everything that you think, you feel, you believe, that you do, you know why you're doing it. And you're going to get so much more out of my videos and watching my channel if you understand personally inside yourself why you're drawn to this content. What is it that you're trying to figure out? Are you meeting an intellectual need? Is it an emotional need? Is it to explain your past, to create your future? Anyway, it's a big topic, and that's what I'm going to spend the rest of this video talking about. So if that's interesting to you, please come and join me on Patreon. In honor of my birthday month, I'm offering a 37% discount. So my Patreon has never been more affordable. Come check it out.